Hey traders, hope you're well. Andy Demi here. So in today's video, I want to answer a question that's recently been asked of me, and it's a commonly asked question. And that is, is leverage a good thing? Is it a good idea to use leverage? Well, one thing that I can tell you is, having looked at some of the most recent crashes that we've had, most of that has come from leverage of retail traders. So for example, Bitcoin, the most recent crash that we've had on Bitcoin, it's been shown that the majority of that move happened because retail traders over leveraged themselves. And that created a spiraling effect. So what happens is if you over leverage, so in other words, when you leverage, you're borrowing money to buy a position. Now, during the crash, you could borrow up to 100x. Okay, so that means 100 times your money. But since then, it's changed. But here's the thing. Leverage is a good thing if used properly. So, because it'll essentially give you more buying power for very, very little cost. In fact, it's one of the big reasons why I was able to grow my account very, very fast while still minimizing risk. So I do recommend that correct use of leverage should be used in any account. Now, if you're not comfortable and you're new to trading, then I would advise against it and I would stick with spot trading. Now, the thing is that, cryptos are generally likely to explode a lot higher anyway. So even if you don't use leverage, you can still make a good return. But the correct use of leverage can make a huge difference, especially when you take into account compounding. So you don't need to over leverage. Now, personally, I recommend, for example, if you wanted to buy one Bitcoin, okay, right, at today's prices, that would cost you $50,000. Instead of putting in $50,000, you could put in 70% of $50,000 and have maybe 30% where you borrow the money. So in essence, maybe you end up putting in, say, $40,000. Or another way of looking at it is you buy a little bit more of Bitcoin than you otherwise would. Now, the chances is that it's not going to drop to that threshold where it'd have to drop 70% for you to be liquidated. Now, of course, in cryptos, anything can happen, and it has happened before. But in my opinion, right now, especially what I'm seeing in the markets, that kind of thing is very, very unlikely. So by using the power leverage, let's say the market goes up to, to 100,000, right? If you buy one Bitcoin, you make 50 grand. But if you were able to buy 1.1 Bitcoin, well, you make about 55 grand, I believe, if the math is correct. But yeah, about 55 grand. So it's an extra 5 grand by buying 1.1. Now I'm suggesting you buy, let's say, 30% more. So that would be 1.3. So instead, you would make 65 grand for very, very little extra little risk, very little risk on top. So in my opinion, I think that makes a lot of sense, especially if you're building a portfolio and if you do this across the board, where I think some of the altcoins have a much bigger potential than Bitcoin, where you could maybe 5x, 10x, 100x, that little bit of extra money can make all the difference to your account. Okay, it can literally be the difference between making 100 grand to 300-400 grand. So my final conclusion is use leverage correctly if you're comfortable and you understand how it works. Don't use it recklessly like most retail traders that basically created the big crash in Bitcoin by over leveraging, getting liquidated by the exchange, and then it causing this spiraling effect of crazy amounts of selling. Hope that helps, guys. Have a great day. Enjoy the sunshine if you're in London, and take care. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.